Welcome to the Transformational Coach podcast with me, Rhona Barton, giving you competence with confidence. Welcome everybody. I hope this week's podcast finds you all well. Generally, how are you doing? How are things going where you stay in relation to the current pandemic? It's been going on for a number of months now, and I'm just wondering how you're all coping. Have you sorted out a proper routine for yourselves? Do you like to mix things up each day? Generally, what are you finding that works for you? And what would you like to change? In this week's episode of the podcast, we're looking at learning from mistakes. It's the last in our How to Succeed topic. And this week, as I say, we're thinking about learning from mistakes. And I don't know if you ever actually make mistakes in life. When was the last time you made a mistake? When was the last time you tried to do something and it just went wrong, perhaps from start to finish, or one small part of it went wrong? But we all make mistakes. We are, after all, only human. We're a little bit flawed as a race, but it's what keeps life interesting. So from small mistakes like spilling coffee on a document a couple of minutes before you're due to present it, for example, or something larger, chances are you have had that rush of panic feeling, that burst of adrenaline that sets your heart racing, that makes you possibly have a little panic and think, oh my goodness, what am I going to do here? No one is immune to making mistakes. That is key. Please remember, you are not alone. If we, however, just apologise for the mistake and carry on as we did before, we run the risk of repeating the same errors. We run the risk of not learning from our mistakes. And quite frankly, you begin to inflict unnecessary stress on yourself and on other people. You risk losing a bit of confidence and potentially losing other people's confidence and trust in you. So, what that is unhelpful do you keep repeating in life? What is the learning that you've been ignoring or secretly avoiding from these errors, these mistakes that you make? And what prevents you from doing things differently? What is actually getting in your way? How might you feel differently about yourself if you choose to see mistakes as something positive? Now, you might be listening to this thinking, oh my goodness, Rhona, what are you talking about? How can a mistake be positive? Well, we can turn our mistakes into something positive by working out a way to help ourselves stop repeating mistakes. So one way to do this is to actually own your mistake, to literally put your hands up and say, I'm sorry, I messed up, I was wrong, admit that you've made the mistake. People are very forgiving. Especially in the current climate, they're almost more forgiving these days than they ever have been before. So take a couple of minutes, take a couple of deep breaths, admit your mistakes, take ownership of it, and inform the people who need to know. Apologise, tell them that you're working on a solution. Being able to say, I'm sorry, takes courage. But it is better to come clean than to try and hide your error, or even worse, to blame somebody else for it. So then think about trying to reframe that error. How you view your mistakes determines the way that you're going to react to them and what you do next. So chances are, because we tend to do this, we are human, you'll view your error as a purely negative thing. You'll look at it in a negative light for as long as that discomfort, that shock, that panic about it persists. But if you can reframe your mistake and look at it as an opportunity to learn, you'll likely motivate yourself to become more knowledgeable and more resilient. And when you've acknowledged your mistake, take some time to think about what you could do to prevent it from happening again. It could be that perhaps you didn't follow a process properly, or you need to consider introducing a more robust checklist or a clearer flow process document. But stop beating yourself up. Take some time to reflect on it and start thinking about how you can gain from the situation. Okay? Do that by really analysing your mistake. Ask yourself some really quite difficult questions. What were you trying to do? What went wrong? When did it go wrong? At what point in the process did things unravel? And why did it go wrong? And keep asking yourself why, until you get to the very root of the cause. Once you've got some of those answers, put those lessons into practice. It's all well and good saying, yep, hands up, I made a mistake, I'm not going to do that again in future. And then instantly forgetting that promise you've just made to yourself. Chances are acting on what you've learned will require discipline and motivation in order to help you change your habits, or to change the way the team works, or to change the way you interact with everyday people that you come into contact with. But doing so will help you avoid self-sabotage. It will help you avoid making the same mistakes in future, and it will allow you to reap the rewards, if you like, to really gain the benefits of implementing better practices, whether that's at work or at home. So now you've put all this work into play, why not do a bit of a review on your progress? You've made a plan, you've put in the work, you've done the action, you've checked the output of that action. What do you need to do now? You need to take some action. Perhaps you need to come back to the beginning and revisit what you intend to do. Did the next time you undertook that action work well? Or was it still a bit clunky? Were there other lessons that could be learned? Let me ask you this. How many of you out there have somebody that could hold you accountable for your actions, an accountability buddy, if you like? Do you have somebody at work who can help you ultimately, that can check in with you and see how you're getting on? This could be somebody who works at the same level as you. This could be your line manager. This could be a boss. It's okay to make mistakes, and it's excellent if you can learn from those mistakes and grow your mindset and your outlook. But if you're just working by yourself, and I think this becomes more challenging in the current environment where people are working from home, they're not necessarily surrounded by their team all the time, they're not necessarily seeing people daily face to face as they would prior to COVID, perhaps if you're office based. So who have you got who can act as your accountability buddy, who can be your friend in need when you need somebody to just check in with you? If you don't have anybody like that, then might I suggest you look no further. You look me up, you drop me a message, you give me a call. I'm happy to be your accountability buddy. It's part of what I can do through my coaching with you. You can reach out via the website, rhonabarton.co.uk. Also feel free to search for me on social media. The links are on the website, and they're there'll be links put in the show notes as well. If you'd like to think a little bit more about how to learn from mistakes, there's a variety of TED Talks that are really interesting on this. And, you know, they range from, a few minutes up to about half an hour if you've got some time to put in your diary and watch some of them. I will put a link to the batch of the TED Talks that I'm thinking about in the show notes. So feel free to look at the show notes and click on that link and explore a little bit more. As ever, should you wish to take this a bit further, feel free to get in touch, book your free, no obligation discovery call with me. Details can be found on the website, again, rhonabarton.co.uk. Failing that, send me a message, drop me an email, and let's see how I can help give you some space and time to consider how you can learn from your mistakes in order to succeed with your goals in life. In the meantime, please take care of yourselves, stay safe, and I'll speak to you next week. Bye for now.